in its many forms: satay, chicken rice, tandoori, fast food. Malaysians eat an average of 50 kilograms of chicken per year. That's the third highest per capita consumption of chicken in the world. But for many in Malaysia today, chicken is no more a staple. It has become an unaffordable luxury, with factors, especially the Ukraine conflict, driving up prices. It's been a crushing blow to people like mother of 9, Wan Nuraini Nadia.
Umur anak di antara 6 bulan hingga 15 tahun. Sangat susahlah sebab pendapatan sikit dan keluarga ramai. Sebelum ni masih boleh beli ayam seminggu satu kali. Tapi sekarang nak beli sebulan sekali pun kita sangat-sangat fikirlah. Sebab bukan saja ayam yang naik, barang-barang lain juga turut naik. Macam bawang, sayur, ikan pun. So telur sekalipun memang semua naik. Jadi sangat susah bagi kami sekarang lah.
The disruptions of the pandemic and the Ukraine conflict have reminded consumers, the food industry and government not to take the country's #1 source of protein for granted. More than 2 years after the COVID-19 pandemic began, Malaysians thought the days of food shortages and empty shelves were behind them. But with the sudden reopening of the economy in April, coinciding with the Muslim festival of Eid, open houses, family gatherings, and long-postponed weddings, wholesalers, shops and restaurants found themselves short of chickens. Over the preceding 2 years of lockdowns and movement restrictions, many chicken farmers had gone out of business or cut back on production.
I think we were caught off guard because we did not anticipating the market is opening that fast and that soon. We estimated some of the location is more than 50% demand surge. That's why the chicken crisis happened in Malaysia.
The nationwide shortage was a stark wake-up call for Malaysia. For consumers, it was a double blow, with the price of chickens also rising sharply. In the face of the chicken shortage and price surge, Malaysia's government banned the export of chickens and chicken products from June 1st. To try to keep costs down for consumers, it imposed a price cap on the birds sold in shops and markets, compensating chicken farmers with subsidies. It's proved a particularly challenging time for those tasked with ensuring the country's chicken supplies. Chicken farmer Chong Yi-pin raises about 30,000 birds at a time.
饲料起价变成我们的鸡的饲养成本变很高。以前我们可以讲10只鸡，如果你死1只鸡的话，你还可以cover回来。但是现在因为你1只鸡的成本高了，可能你10只鸡里面你死了1只鸡，你就不可以cover了。所以现在是饲料成本高，而影响到我们的整个的利润。
Chicken feed is mostly a blend of soya and corn, both entirely imported, and both seeing steep price rises in the face of the Ukraine conflict. So-called open system chicken farms like this one produce around 70% of Malaysia's chickens. In this case, open doesn't mean free range. Rather, the chickens are housed in wooden structures enclosed with wire mesh. That makes controlling temperatures and providing the chickens with a comfortable environment a perpetual challenge for farmers like Chong.
如果天气热，我们的鸡当然会死亡会更高，会比较高咯。然后我们就会损失更多啦。所以到天气热的时候，我们就会进少，就是你进少，它的死亡没有这样高，没有这样多。我们就等于我们少赚，我们不愿意去死多。几年前的天气都不会像现在这么恶劣啦。现在的天气会比较难控制一点，有时它来到热就很热，有时我们讲下雨的时候，我们的鸡其实也不会讲很好养了，因为小鸡需要保温嘛。
As chicks grow into chickens, the optimum temperature is around 29 degrees Celsius. Malaysia's daytime highs average closer to 33 degrees and rise even more during heat waves. Farmers like Chong also have to do what they can to reduce the chances of diseases from further adding to their losses.
就是讲可以给它一些辅助品、维他命啊，还是一些酵素那些东西，让那个鸡自己健康。这个是我近几年养鸡所发现的，鸡自己本身的健康，它越健康，它就越不容易受外菌感染，啊，不像以前以前的年代啊，以前的年代是用那些药物来控制嘛，啊，反而会不理想。30千只鸡大概是差不多是有1-2万块的收入了，啊，好像如果比较漂亮就 OK 了，就可能就有差不多1万多块，如果是比较不漂亮的话，可能就几千块哦，啊，有时候会亏钱的。 如果你的鸡碰到鸡会有生病啊，还是死亡高还是什么啊，就会亏钱哦。
To cope with the challenges of raising chickens, a growing number of farmers have shifted their production to enclosed chicken houses. Some, like Jeffrey Ng, have also turned to technology for help, specifically IoT, the Internet of Things.
Everything is controlled over here, or on a handphone. So everything is connected to Wi-Fi and connected to the data, to the cloud. We measure the water intake of the chicken. We measure the feed eaten by the chicken by minutes. We actually measure the weight of the bird by minute also. And we also measure the outside temperature, inside temperatures. By then we can actually manage the fan or the ventilation of the farm to assure the temperature is actually suitable for the chicken to grow.
Feed and water are replenished automatically for the 160,000 chickens at this farm.
We have a bird weigher, so we are weighing the bird when they drop off from the weigher. We have an algorithm to find out whether it's only a single bird or more than 2 birds. Using this one, we will know the quality of the feed, whether they are growing on the rate that they're supposed to be. To bring down the temperatures for the bigger birds, we need to use water. We call it evaporative cooling. So this over here is actually the cooling pack, where we run through the water and the air flow through to bring down the temperature almost 3 to 4 degrees, which is actually more comfortable to the chicken. We have a row of fan at the back, so it extracts air from here, from this end to the other end, where it will blow the air out from the other end. This is a plastic slatted floor. It allows maximum droppings to go to the ground. Over here is, what we call a more hygienic way of growing the chicken. So we hope by then the chicken can live more happily, more hygienically. So we raise the floor, so that will allow the dropping to drop to the bottom. We have fan at the end. We try to dry off the manure as quick as possible so that we settle the smell issue, fly issue will be less. We can then harvest the dropping and to sell it as an organic fertilizer.
The farm also has high levels of biosecurity. To try to keep out pathogens or infectious diseases, farms like this one require outsiders to go through disinfectant showers, then a normal shower, and then change into new clothes. Finally, they have to walk through a foot bath, a tray of disinfectant, before entering the chicken house. Open houses have no such controls. The investment in construction, technology and electricity is more than offset by higher production. A closed farmhouse can produce about 50% more chickens per square meter than an open house. But while technology can help combat the impact of high temperatures, farmers with closed houses are still at the mercy of factors such as the increase in chicken feed prices. The challenge is one that researchers are tackling at Malaysia's Agricultural University, University Putra Malaysia. Professor Lotek Chuen believes a partial remedy, at least, can be found in the local palm oil industry.
We are targeting on the feed ingredients by using the local agro byproduct. There are abundant of it. For example, like palm kernel cake, and then it's quite convincing in terms of the result in order to substitute some of the raw material, for example, like corn, soybean meal, partially. This kind of the raw material is cheaper and it may cost the whole production cheaper. It may help consumer to get more affordable chicken meat. However, we need to conduct many kind of the studies in order to have more extensive, results in order to convince the farmers.
Palm oil bioproducts need to be treated to make them more nutritious and easier for the chickens to digest. They can only comprise little more than 10% of the feed, so they'll never replace soya or corn. In the face of the Ukraine conflict, some, including in the government, are arguing that Malaysia needs to grow corn locally on a large scale to ensure supplies and reduce costs of chicken feed. Economists and others believe it's misguided. They point to neighbors Thailand and Indonesia, where feed producers are required to use locally grown corn.
Feed cost in Thailand is slightly higher than Malaysia. You look at the cost of production of poultry in Indonesia, it's a lot higher. If you are trying to be sovereign, then you end up planting your own corn. You might drive cost of production even further because this is something that you are not good at. You need certain kind of climate to be able to effectively grow corn, certain soil and terrain condition. If you don't do it right, you're going to end up producing it at a more expensive price than buying it.
If you were to plant the corn, are you selling me cheaper than the international price? Or not? If we are doing that, then we are still go back to square one. Are we solving our problem? No, we are not solving our problem.
Meanwhile, within a few weeks after the chicken shortage in April, production rose to meet demand, and there was once again ample supply of chicken in the local market. But the government only started easing the export ban from October. Neighbor Singapore, which normally buys 1/3 of its chickens from Malaysia, was hardest hit by the ban, having to scramble for alternative sources of chicken. Analysts and industry people say the policy could well backfire on Malaysia.
It will have long-term unintended consequences. As you cut off supply, their import structures are going to change and they're going to look for other sources of their chickens. And what does that make for our own market here? I think if we just had the patience to wait it out for a little bit longer, then the prices would stabilize. And my plea, I suppose, would be for the government to not take knee-jerk reactions and to ensure that they're thinking more rationally, more long-term, and not just respond to what they think would be a good short-term solution, because ultimately this will affect, again, not just the consumers, but the producers.
Banning the export to Singapore will not really help ease tightening supply in the domestic market, really. It eases it a bit, but the cost of losing business will outweigh the benefits far more.
Analysts and industry people say there's a far better strategy to ensure future supply and reduce prices, improve efficiency and cut losses by encouraging the 70% of production in open houses to shift to the closed system.
What the advantages of here, this high-tech farm is we can use less feed to grow the same weight of the chickens, and that actually makes us more competitive. And that also makes us more efficient compared to others. So I think that's the right path to go. The second thing is the livability of the bird compared to open house, especially the hot and humid weathers in Malaysia. I think the closed system are more suitable.
The industry wants to see the government provide subsidies to help farmers like Chong and many hundreds of others like him convert to closed system chicken houses.
因为如果我们要做一个 cross out， 我们的资本要很大，它的比起这些木料，它的那个本钱是更重的啦，是我们做木料的可能4-5倍，400-500%啦。所以如果当我们要做 cross out， 我们如果像我们那种小农场、小园主，你没有这样子的资金，然后。 当然，你去银行借，银行也未必肯借你这样多。再加上，其实我们要去申请政府的这种类似这些补助也不容易啦。
The steep rise in price of chickens and other food products in recent months is likely to worsen an already worrying trend. Malaysia suffers from high levels of malnutrition and stunted growth in children, much higher than the average for countries at its level of development.
Because of the quality of food that they consume. You consume a lot of starch, which is cheap. It's also subsidized. It's available, it's cheap, it's filling, but it's not very nutritious.
It's a huge worry for people like mother of 9, Wan Nuraini.
Kalau harga makin naik, agak sangat-sangat susah bagi kami lah yang berpendapatan rendah. Sebab kalau tak kawal harga ataupun tak turunkan balik harga seperti sebelum ni, apa kami nak makan? Sangat risau sebab budak kanak-kanak perlukan nutrisi. Kalau semua benda naik, apa nutrisi yang boleh kami bagi pada anak-anak? Sayur naik, telur naik, protein tak ada, zat semua tak ada. So, apa yang kami boleh bagi untuk anak-anak?
4 months after the chicken shortage scare in April, supplies have stabilized, and Malaysia has enough chickens to fill grocery store shelves, grills and ovens, woks and tandoors. But low-income Malaysians still can't afford to fill their families' stomachs with this food that they once took for granted. And there are no quick or easy solutions, with food production and prices closely tied to unpredictable phenomena like weather, disease and war, factors well beyond the control of a country like Malaysia. For Assignment Asia, I'm Rian Maelzer in Kuala Lumpur.